How do we leave retreat? How do we proceed into life as usual? Well, one way or one answer might be don't have a strategy, don't make a plan. We think in such unnecessarily complex ways, but things are so simple. The sound of the bird is just the sound of the bird. One breath is just one breath. One step is one step. One question is one question. One answer is one answer. So retreat, not retreat, regular life, these are unnecessary thoughts. Or maybe they're necessary thoughts, but it's unnecessary to buy into them, to make anything more of them than they are, just momentary interpretations. When you're engaged in this, call it the Dharma or call it unbinding, call it the mystery, aliveness. There's no necessity to have a distinction between retreat and life as usual. Practice is every moment. And we're only practicing to practice. This practice is enlightenment. Even suffering is enlightenment. So this moment is the whole. It's all of it, all possibilities. And it's also just this moment. We don't need to be complicated about it. So just hearing, just seeing, just feeling. In retreat, just hearing, seeing, feeling as we eat. Outside of retreat, just seeing, feeling, hearing as we eat. Does it have to be more complicated than that? It doesn't really. But it's sort of a leap of faith to walk that pathless path, step by step. There's an unfortunate side effect of talking about awakening as an event or having a book about awakening and having events about awakening is that one side effect is I warn in my book many times, I think people have a pretty good sense of this, that it gives the mind something to seek, something out there, some big cookie, some big event or explosion of whatever. That's just a side effect. I think it's still valuable to talk about this possibility because it is a real occurrence. But it's, again, not an event. It's something stops more than something happens. But how it stops, who it stops for, is all quite mysterious. So that's a side effect. But the cure for that, the antidote for that, is to just remember in this moment. You don't have to remember something conceptual like there's only the now or there's only presence. You don't have to remember an experience you had of presence or what a really clear teacher said about presence. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to hear. Just that. That one act is as clear a practice as you can get to. One feeling, if there's an intense feeling inside or not intense, if there's an emotion, the act of feeling it, just completely feeling it, is the best you can do. My Zen teacher used to say, ironically, angels could do no more. It's ironic because he was a Zen teacher, but every once in a while he'd bust out some sort of Christian thing or something, saying or whatever, maybe it makes it that much more powerful. But I love that he said that angels could do no more, because we hold ourselves to such high standards, but that's all nonsense. Whether we hold ourselves to high standards or low standards, it's just nonsense. There's really only the sounds, and there's the sensations, and there's the colors. The rose is red. There's just that. Do you need any more than that? The sensation of your hand moving across the dog's fur. That's what there is. That's all there is. Everything else is analysis, afterthought. So just feel it. Textures, sounds, sensations, colors, these are available all the time in every setting. Doesn't matter how seemingly busy the setting is, how important or unimportant the situation is. There's always this sense field, or let's say the portals to this infinite, intimate, indescribable clarity. They're always there. That's the beauty of this. So how do we move out of retreat? How do we move into retreat? How do we move into meditation? How do we move into family time? How do we move out of family time into hobby time? We do it all one sensation at a time, because that's how it happens. And when you see that, feel that, hear that, then you realize there's no one moving in or out of anything. There's no movement. There's just sound. And there's just one breath. There's just the sensation of the air moving across your face, the sun on your face, on your skin. When hearing is just hearing, the heard is just the heard, the seen is just the seen, the felt is just the felt. Things take care of themselves so well. But perhaps the only barrier to that, or what makes it so seemingly challenging, is we just want to mess with things. We just want to like get our dirty little fingers in there and work on stuff. Try to heal some stuff, try to fix some stuff, try to understand some stuff, try to make other people understand some stuff. But why? It just goes in circles. It's a dog chasing its tail. It can be fun for a while, but at some point you got to see it's like doesn't bring deep satisfaction, doesn't bring clarity. Often it brings the opposite of clarity. So maybe this whole thing's about trust. It's a bit of a cliche, I guess, to say like an animal, dogs, cats are Zen masters, but you can learn a lot from a dog about this, because we don't know we can't know their internal world, but just looking at them, the way they move, it's pretty obvious they don't second guess themselves. They move spontaneously, they rest simply and easily, and they fully trust when to do each one. A sound gets everything stirred up, gets the whole animal excited, moving, responding. And then it forgets about it, lays right back down. Nature shows us how this works. A tree shows you how this works. A tree doesn't think about how it responds to the wind or the seasons. It's seamless. Sun shines a certain way for a certain duration, the leaf sprouts. The sun shines a different way for a different duration, the leaf turns brown, falls off. The tree goes dormant. It's just natural, simple. How you move already is natural and simple. There's just a little bit of background noise saying that there's more to the story. There's no more to the story. So you have an opportunity and then a privilege. It starts to feel much more like a privilege to remain in the sense fields. Pure feeling, pure seeing, pure hearing, pure tasting, pure smelling. Because it's already right there. Everything. Nothing. Potentiality. All flavors are one flavor. Another simple approach I haven't mentioned in this retreat, but it's really powerful, can be. You don't have to do this, but it can be helpful sometimes when you're noticing the sound field, taking in the sound, then there's only sound. Noticing the sound and the silence that are there at the same time. Like a koan, the mind will not understand this. So if you're thinking about it, it won't make any sense at all. Don't worry about the thoughts. But if you just hear what's there, the silence and the sound, almost as if you're finding the space in between, and then you're finding that there is not two between silence and sound. They're not different experiences. Similarly with sensation, there's the sensation in the hands, the sensation in the face, the sensation in the heart, chest. And then there's what's not there at all. Emptiness, formlessness, non-sensing. There's non-sensing. Maybe a little more challenging to find this in the physical if there's contraction, but it may be more valuable even in those spaces of contraction, emotional pain, stuckness. Try it in the visual experience. You might see a color in front of you, black, red. Can you also see the colorless? Your mind's going to say, no, I can't. It doesn't make sense. Okay, that's a thought. Go right back out. There's the black, there's the colorless. There's the red, there's the colorless. There's the blue, there's the colorless. Are they alternating or are they one and the same? It might start by feeling like the subject, you, the experiencer, is the colorless, maybe. And out there's the color, the texture of blue, red. But as that non-dual experience becomes more and more clear, now there's no inside or outside, and there's no colorless apart from red, and there's no red apart from colorlessness. I don't want to give complicated stuff in this talk. I want to keep it very simple. And I think I'm not going to give any more than that as just a suggestion. But it really is and can be that simple. Feeling. Feel what you've never felt before. As you walk, do you feel your feet touching the ground, like right when your foot touches the ground? Do you feel your foot inside your shoe? Do you feel the top of your shoe on the top of your foot? Have you ever noticed this? Do you feel your sock? Do you feel your tongue touching the roof of your mouth right now? How about the sides of your mouth, your teeth? Do you feel the roof of your mouth? Do you feel your throat? So this can be taken up as a practice that can go on the rest of your life, and it will become more and more enjoyable. Find new ways to feel, find new ways to hear, new ways to see, or let the environment show you new ways. That's how you leave retreat. You don't leave retreat. So one other thing I'm going to do is just give a little bit of a closing talk about, aside from practice and what I just described, just some precautions for when we leave retreat. It's not always obvious, even if we've had a bit of experience with retreat. But when we've had a lot of experience with a retreat, it gets pretty obvious. But we are often quite exhausted at the end of retreat. The body mind is exhausted. The emotion body is exhausted. But we have a lot of energy, a lot of prajna. I'm sorry, not prajna. Joriki type of energy. We have a lot of even energy and consciousness. And it can be easy upon leaving retreat, even the same day or the next day or for the next few days, to kind of overly indulge in unnecessary activities, particularly with other humans, particularly conversations, talking, a lot of philosophical stuff, a lot of dynamic interactions with people. It often feels good because we've maybe deprived ourselves of it for a few days. But it often feels good just until it doesn't. And then some part of us, when we leave an interaction, says, why did I do that? I just want to go sit. Like that was so intense and so taxing, and I didn't realize it until I left. And sometimes we just have to go through this a few times before we learn not to do it to ourselves. But it's a precaution. Just give the effects of retreat, which are full on right now and will be for several days, give them some time to integrate, give them some time to find their equilibrium with you in your life. That means to the best you can, don't get too overly engaged in dynamic conversations, intense, especially debates, philosophical stuff, spiritual talk, all of that. I'd say avoid it. Even reading a bunch of doctrine and stuff like that can be a little much. So what do? Spend quiet time in whatever you're doing. Meditate, sit, spend time with the family. Do something in nature, take a nature walk. Lay down, take naps. Breathe. Practice breathing with intention. And just take it easy for a few days. If intense things come up, and they can after retreat, just like during retreat, you might have sudden intense emotional experience or something. You may not, but it can happen. Just like in retreat, just give it some time, give it some space. Just sitting, often it'll pass, like everything passes. Don't make conclusions assessing what you got out of retreat or whether you've had insights. It's not necessary to consider any of that, really, ever, really. Certainly not right after retreat, though. It's just a good way to get into your head. But as I mentioned this morning, the portal's still open. We've really developed a powerful concentrative meditation, and it's available. So if you have time and you're off for a day or two and you want to continue the retreat on your own, do it. Go for it. But even if you can't do that, logistically, I really do recommend spending some quiet time. Someone said, how do you handle social interactions with people who are not interested or familiar with these practices? Don't talk about it. To be honest, that's, I think, the simplest and most practical answer that I think for most of us over time you realize. Like, I'm so not inclined to talk about spirituality to people outside of this setting. If anything, I kind of avoid it. I work at a hospital where, some people know of me online and stuff. So people will ask me on occasion if they seem genuinely interested. I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm not going to talk to them about it at work, but if they want a book, I'll get them a book or whatever. But I just say, oh, good. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you like the videos. That's it. So to get more to the crux of that answer, usually what's really being asked is, or what's underlying it is, I want to talk to people about this, right? That's a great thing to unpack and explore. And that may result in some kind of insight, and an insight into yourself when you really find out, like, well, why do I want to talk about this to other people? Am I looking for complicity? Am I just it's just a topic I want to come up with because it's important to me, but I want it to be important to other people, and I just want to talk to people. So this is the convenient thing. Could be a mixture of all these things, right? I care about people. I want them to wake up. They're suffering. I know they're suffering. All of these things come into play, right? All these perceptions, and all of them, if you really look closely, they're self-centered, including the one of wanting people to wake up and all that. At some point, you'll realize, like, you don't have control over that at all. So about this topic, don't generally talk about it. I would say that's my approach overall. I don't feel like I'm avoiding it so much, but I'm not interested in talking about it. It doesn't seem like relevant most of the time. If someone asks you, how was retreat, say whatever feels relevant to you. But I used to say it was peaceful, it was nice, it was very relaxing, but intense at times. And yeah, that's pretty much keep it simple. But I don't initiate the conversation about it because I don't need to share that with anyone. This is a very solitary, process, a lonely process at times. Even though we do have a community, we have a group. It's nice to sit with groups. Really, when you close your eyes, you're sitting, and there's no one else there that can engage this with you or for you, or make it feel better for you, or share it with you. Really, it's on you. Just good news. Okay, I got an all caps coming at me here. Must be important. Question not yet addressed. Should I yell it because it's in all caps? Please comment on strategies for awakening in the setting of chronic, severe physical pain. And different strategies. No different strategies. It doesn't matter what your situation is. It doesn't matter. The awakening, it's not something you can control, first of all. It does happen in people with pain and chronic pain, for sure. Happens to people who are young, even kids sometimes. Happens to people who are elderly. Happens to people who are trying very hard and get exhausted trying very hard. It happens to people who know a lot about spirituality, Christianity, Dzogchen, Zen, Islam, Taoism. It happens to people who are atheists. It happens to people who are agnostic. It happens to people who are materialists. It happens to people who are idealists. It happens to people of every skin color. It happens to people of every nationality. It happens to people with massive amounts of trauma. It happens to people with minimal amounts of trauma. It happens to smart people. It happens to dull people. It happens to artistic people. It happens to logical people. It happens to engineers, artists, doctors, unemployed people, everyone, anyone. It's not about your demographics, your situation, your experiences, your past. If I could make one generalization, the more you're suffering, the more likely it is. But you don't have to be acutely suffering necessarily for it to shift either. So just looking for any last questions that may be valuable for everyone. Okay, so I'm going to answer some logistic questions or just make some logistic comments. People asked how long the web page will be up so you can find the recordings. I would suggest everybody go to the recordings when you can. If you all go at once, it might not let you in, but the recording page, I'm not going to take it down today, but the recording page, make a, either make a copy of it by clicking on File, make a copy, so you have your own copy, or copy the URL, which is the address, write it down somewhere, copy and paste it somewhere that you know of, or bookmark it. So you always have this page. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to get rid of it or delete it. Probably the best is for you to make a copy of it, because then if it does get deleted, which I wouldn't do, but I guess it's possible, you have your own copy. But I will take the web page down. I'm not going to keep the web page up and open forever, mostly because once it's past the time of the retreat, what's the point? And then people can come in and look at these Q&As and stuff that it didn't come to retreat. So I will take that down at some point. So please take a look at the recordings page and bookmark it. Does someone want to put the URL? Drop the URL in there here in case anyone doesn't know. You should know where it is by now. But so that's the recordings. So they'll always be there. They're always on YouTube, but they're unlisted. So if you don't have this, you won't know where they are. And there's no way I can answer emails about where to find this and that specific video. So that's important if you want to watch these back. Other people have asked a lot about different types of resources, when we're going to do things. Right now it says due to heavy collaborator use. So just give it a few minutes. It's not going anywhere for the near future. I think about 100 people can go on this, and then it starts kicking people out. Like it doesn't let a new person in for a while. As far as resources, so people ask for resources. If you're ever concerned, or if you're ever wondering where one of my resources is, anything you can imagine, whatever it is, you can always go to simplyawaysawake.com/links. Has I put it in recently, has every single link to everything I have. All the free stuff, all the pay stuff, all the everything, retreats, all of it. But you can also find that under all of my videos, my newest videos. Right underneath in the description, there's a bunch of links for a bunch of stuff, but the very first one is resources and links, and it brings you right to that page on my website. Has all my links of my free app, obviously YouTube, bunch of free videos every day. Facebook has free stuff. So Facebook, there's a group called Simply Always Awake that I've been using mostly to just sort of promote the book. Was the idea, and YouTube videos. So I post the YouTube videos and stuff on there, but I've been posting questions, and people have been answering these questions with incredible insights. So especially over the last few days, if you're interested, go check that out. Simply Always Awake. It's a page that's public, so you can always see it. And a couple of days ago, I asked a question: what has worked for you for self-inquiry? what has helped you, any like tips. Some of the stuff people said in there was so good. I was really, really blown away. So go check that out. It's all free stuff. I do have an audiobook. If people don't know, it's in my links. It's not through Audible because Audible is Amazon and Amazon is the devil. It's not really. I don't think Amazon's the devil, but I do think they've got enough money from all of us. And I have my ebook on there and I have my paperback. So this one I did not put on Amazon, which means it doesn't go on Audible, but you can get it on other apps. So there's the podcast apps people use, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, like it's available on those. It's a company called Awesound, AWESOUND, but you got to follow the link to find it. So there's that. I will do another online retreat in the near future, but I don't know when exactly. Between 5 and 7 months from now, probably. Simply Awake app. Yeah, so my app is actually called Simply Awake, not Simply Always Awake. And it's free on both platforms. It's got guided meditations in it. Check out Violet Synergy's stuff. You probably many people here know her. Look at her stuff. She has satsang. She does satsangs, which are wonderful. She does guided meditations with every satsang. She also does small groups. They're paid, but it's not super expensive at all. And you can do small group Q&As with her. And she also does one-on-one stuff. So if you ever want to work one-on-one with her, she's fabulous. Check her stuff out. Also, very excited. She's been working on a book. I don't know if she wants me to tell you that. Maybe I won't say it. Pretend you didn't hear that. She can tell me if she wants me to talk about it. So it's a teaser. Also, Josh has been in here, busting out some comments here and there. He's very, very good working with one-on-one with people. He's really, really good at it. He's like the walking red pill, basically. If you want to work with Josh, what did he say? That you have a book coming up. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I don't know if she wants me to talk about it. I don't know if she's talked about it. So Josh, put your link in here if you would. If anyone wants to work with Josh. Blast that shit. Okay. So it's really cool. It's really cool. So her poetry is so powerful. It's really, really powerful poetry. It's so cool because it's unlike most poetry it's unlike any poetry I've ever heard. But what's really cool about it, partially, is where it came from and when it came. And she can explain that. She explains it in her book. But also it's so non-dual. It's like direct pointing poetry. It works really well. It's powerful. When she reads it during retreats, it always just has profound effects on the environment and stuff. It's just really good poetry. But it's also a very unique type book she's working on because it's like a picture book, like, kids' picture book, but the pictures are really cool. They're surrealistic kind of sketch type things, couple certain artists she's using, and it's gorgeous. She's got it almost done. And so it will be released at some point in the near future. So that's coming up. There is a retreat in November, as y'all know, at Art of Living. All of their one-room units are full, and I think their double occupancies are full. They may have triple occupancy left if you want a deal in that way. The other thing you can do is you have to call them. You can't do it through the website, but you can call them and sign up for the retreat, and then you get a room in town, which is Boone. It's like 15 minutes away. And they're okay with you doing that if you want. So if you still want to get into that retreat, but don't want to stay in a 3-person room, you can do that, get a hotel or a room or a VRBO in Boone, and then just drive in daily. They're totally okay with it because they have their main meditation hall holds like 3,000 to 4,000 people. And when their main teacher comes, they have had that many people. So they must have tons of people staying in town. So it's okay to do that. They have really good food. It's a really good place to have a retreat. It's the best place as far as retreat center and how well it functions and how much capacity it has. It's the best one I've ever been to. We'll do one every year, but there's one in November. It's Art of Living. I have a mailing list. All this stuff's in my links. So check out my links. The most supported question on the Google Doc. Oh my gosh. Let's hear question in the Google Doc that a lot of people had shown interest in. Someone said there's an app you can upvote. Like I can put out to all these people here, and you can write questions, and then your friends upvote them. And so then the most important questions come to the top. I looked it up, actually. I think that's a cool service. The problem is you got to pay for it. It would cost me like $70 a month for this size of a group, which I'm not going to pay. So if someone comes up with there's got to be a programmer out there. Program something I can use, because I actually wanted to find a good survey where like I could survey where's everyone from in the world and which country are you from. But I couldn't find any like simple apps or plugins for Zoom to do that. And I couldn't figure out a way to make a Google form without me entering every single country in the world so that it can be tabulated easily. So if there's anyone out there who knows how to do that stuff, let me know. I think that'd be fun. Okay, Josh put his thing in there. It's called soawake.com. I always crack up when I see that name. But he is so awake, I'll just tell you that. Yeah, good. And check out Violet Synergy. If she didn't put hers in there, you can Google Violet Synergy. She's got a YouTube channel, Patreon for her satsangs, and then her main website. You can find small group, one-on-one stuff. All right. And okay. I think that's it, unless there's any really important logistical questions. If there are, she put her link to her website there. Book 2 hasn't started yet. It's all hidden in book 1. Don't worry. But I'll probably do another one. Josh has YouTube as well. So Chad, if you saw any questions you think I should answer, can you just message them to me here and I will? Or just say them to me in voice. Chad, did you bring Toasty down? Your little friend Toasty, or what's his name?
His name's Cody, and I haven't been reading the chat. And
Okay,
haven't read
that's
the
fine.
document.
Why is his name Cody again?
Because he's an avocado toast.
I thought it was because he was coated in avocado.
No, it's actually avocado.
Okay. All right. Josh's link is a little farther up there. You can scroll it up. And thank you. Yeah. So let's say thank you to everyone. Thank you to Chad for keeping the timing of this entire retreat. It's a very important job, truly a very important job. Keeps us all not having to think about anything except listen for the bells. And he's kept impeccable time, which is the simple job of the timer, but it's not always that simple. And he did a great job. So thank you, Chad, very much. Thank you for being here, your energy, your contributions, all of it. Love it. And thank you, of course, to Violet for your lovely, wonderful sound meditations, your presence. And thank you to everyone who came here. Everyone, every single one of you who came, did the work, felt the pain, felt the elation, felt the confusion, felt the release. We appreciate all of you very much. Wouldn't be a retreat without retreatants. Oh, Michelle's question. Okay, I will answer one last question. Good Lord, it's long. Okay. Had a first awakening maybe 2 years ago. Since then, I feel like I am in a neutral, non-reactive state most of the time, which is not unpleasant. Okay. And less reactive. Good. I have a few questions that came up on occasion. How do I know if I'm engaging in spiritual bypassing? I'm not bothering. You'll know, usually. At some point, you'll know. Someone will tell you, or you just feel it's time for things to get a little deeper, to dig a little deeper. Are we getting Toasty out? There he is. Hey, Toasty.
His name's not Toasty, it's Cody.
He's Toasty Avocody.
Well, Toasty's his retreat name.
No, Toasty is like code name for enlightened. So he's a Toasty Avocody now.
Okay. Look at him. He's really happy. The nice thing about him is you can't get him down. He always has that smile.
He had a bad dream that Violet was eating avocado toast.
Violet ate his brother in front of him.
Violet did, but so did Chad.
Okay, let's see here, John.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut.
Life planning. currently in a low employment situation. I feel like somebody asked me this whole question in Q&A, didn't they? I mean, very, very similar to this. Or maybe I read it. Maybe that's what it was. I think I did read it, maybe. Yeah, I think I did read this. That's why it's familiar. I think you're fine. Like, I think you're in a good place. Like, as I mentioned, solitude's okay, of course. I can't give life advice about when you need to go look for a job and when you don't, but you will when you need to, or you'll do what it takes to feed yourself and all that. Some people live with very, very minimal resources and do just fine. People in this retreat that I know, there are monastic people here. They live with minimal resources and they do just fine in life. That's not everybody's situation. It's not everybody's comfort level, but my point is there's no right answer as far as should you be making a large income, a comfortable income? Should you be making minimal? Should you be making nothing? Like, I can't answer those kinds of questions because everybody's life is so different, but I think you're okay. The fact that you're asking if there's spiritual bypassing makes me kind of wonder if maybe there is a bit. I would look into a few things. Talk to somebody you trust, or somebody who's very clear, who's gone down this path before. Talk more in depth about this with them, see what they think, get their feel of it. Or even just talk to your friends, like the people you know who know you well, who aren't going to BS you. Really feel into it. Ask it as a koan type question, let it drop in and see what the answer comes for you. But overall, in the grand scheme, it's fine. Ramana Maharishi lived in a loincloth on basically a dirt hill for his whole life. How we practice, how we live, is so varied. But the bypassing thing specifically, at some point, usually you'll have the impetus to dig deeper in a certain way, and often that impetus isn't just oh my God, that's too funny. Some weird stuff going on behind me. Often that the impetus isn't just like a personal insight, but it's a life situation, right? And if you feel it's time to do some deeper work, some deeper shadow work, and so forth, that's totally fine. And you'll know. Also consider working in sort of looking into like non-duality types of investigations, like into those filters, maybe even with like the Fetter model or something. Start with looking into reactivity and see if there's any remaining reactivity. And sometimes when we have that like neutrality that's just pervading our entire life, there could be a lot of latent reactivity, which is avoidance, right? Look into that, maybe consider some of those exercises and just see what comes up. And then the last thing I wanted to say is if you tend to disassociate, there's more chance of bypassing. Like if that's your default, is to disassociate when there's intense emotional stuff going on, then just know it's a little more likely, probably not for sure, but those are my answers for that question. Good question. So thank you to everyone. Okay. Hello? Hello, is there a retreat going on out there? Chad? Hey, Chad. Will you be my boyfriend? I wanted to ask in the middle of this whole thing, like, put the public pressure on you. Will at least be my friend, and then we can kind of build from there.
What? I'm actually not into women, Wanda.
Well, I'm not really. I'm kind of non-binary, Chad. How about your friend Toasty? Is he single?
As far as I know.
Okay. Is that avocado spread all over his chest? He looks like he got shot with something. Or he got spread on with something, some splooge or something. Why are you laughing? No, he's got stuff on his chest. Have you seen him? He's really a mess. But I'll clean him up. He just needs a little wand of love. Okay, guys, sorry. Good luck to everybody. I wish you all fruition. Sorry, guys. Wanda, she's something else. So thank you all for coming. I do wish you all fruition. The bottom line, the message I always want to get across, every single person here, you have the capacity to wake up and keep waking up. Absolutely, unquestionably, unequivocally. But you may and often will have to go through things you didn't think you were going to have to go through. It can be surprising. You can take a lot of twists and turns. This gets bigger than any of us ever thought it would. I think there's no exception to that. Josh, myself, Chad, Violet would tell you, and anyone else. This gets bigger. This whole thing gets bigger than you ever imagined it could. It will take you to places you never thought existed. But it's available. That's all I got to say. Love all of you very much. I'm going to leave this open. I can't leave it open too long because I do have to render the video at some point, but I'll leave it open for now. And if you guys want to, whatever, talk to each other, you can, whatever you want to do. It's fine with me. I'm going to stop recording though. And here comes Wanda. She's voiceless.
Okay. Hi, Wanda. You're a little close.
I like to kiss, Chad.
Here, you can.
I think she has laryngitis. That's not her normal voice. Okay, you guys, the puppet porn. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone.